Well, step one of the NFL draft process, of course, is at the Senior Bowl. Rob Lee Hockey and Phil Savage, the executive director of the Senior Bowl. Step two, Phil, is, of course, the NFL Combine this weekend in Indianapolis. What do teams, scouts, GMs get out of the Combine?
Well, Rob, I really think that there's 4 pieces of information that the clubs get when they go to Indianapolis. First of all, the medical examination. All 32 teams have their complete medical staff, team doctors, orthopedic surgeons, specialists in elbows, shoulders, knees, and ankles, and they look at these players from top to bottom. Secondly, the integration of juniors. And this year, 67 juniors have been invited to the Combine. That's the most ever. And this is the first real opportunity for the clubs to get in front of them, get a feel for their personality, and then actually see them on the field performing the drills. Third, the fill-in-the-blank interviews. In other words, a lot of clubs are able to interview players at the Senior Bowl and the other All-Star games, and now they go back and fill in the blanks with the players that they missed. And then the fourth aspect that the clubs get information on is, of course, the on-the-field performance of these individuals. And that's important because you want that workout and those numbers to match up with the current evaluation and where that player sits on your current draft board. And so that's where the rub comes when a player outperforms at the Combine what he did during the season or vice versa.
Talk about a group that needs to perform in Indianapolis this weekend, the quarterbacks. I mean, when they came to the Senior Bowl, it was a wide-open competition, and when they left, it was a wide-open competition. You've got Geno Smith now in the mix. Talk about the quarterbacks and what they have to prove this week.
Well, and of course, historically, 4 quarterbacks taken in each of the last 2 drafts, first-rounders, and then at least two in 12 consecutive years. I think it's a given that Geno Smith, the quarterback from West Virginia, is a solid choice to go in the first round. We'll see if he can emerge and go as high as the top 5. But beyond Geno Smith, there's a group of quarterbacks, including 4 that participated in the Senior Bowl and a junior, in addition to Matt Barkley, who has opted, again, not to throw at the Combine. His workout will be March 27th. But let's focus on the other 5 right now. How about Tyler Wilson, the quarterback from Arkansas? Can he emerge as a potential first-round pick after having a very solid week in Mobile? And then E.J. Manuel, can he build upon the MVP performance that he had during the Senior Bowl game and continue to rise up draft boards? I don't know that he can reach the first round, but he could certainly emerge as a top 3-round choice. And then 2 quarterbacks who did not get the momentum at the Senior Bowl that they were hoping to get, that need to reestablish their position and potentially jump into those top 32 picks. Ryan Nassib, the quarterback from Syracuse, and then Mike Glennon from NC State. Glennon has arm talent. He's got to show that he's got the quickness of foot and the 40 time to match it. And then Ryan Nassib just needs to settle down and have a solid showing in Indianapolis. I think all of these players will perform well in the interviews. The question is going to be the actual throwing of the football on the field. A wild card in all of this, Tyler Bray, the junior from Tennessee, may have as much arm talent as anybody in the draft. I saw him at the Manning Academy this summer. The ball comes out of his hand very nicely, but there's some questions off the field in terms of the leadership, the intangibles, some character things that he's going to have to work through in Indianapolis.
That's something he can show the scouts this week. Outside of Geno Smith, who you think will be a top 10 pick, this year it seems like that top 10 is wide open.
Well, there's no question. This top 10, there's a lot of uncertainty, and it's a fluid situation. And 3 names along the defensive front I think that everybody's going to keep their eye on that could emerge as solidifying their status as a top 10 choice. Ziggy Ansah, defensive MVP of the Senior Bowl, had a terrific performance in the game, a genetic freak, over 6'5", 270 pounds. He's going to test off the charts, and I think you're going to see him definitely climb into the top 10 after the Combine. 2 other junior defensive linemen, Sheldon Richardson from Missouri, a bit under the radar, but one of the most dominant players in the SEC this year, and then Sharif Floyd, University of Florida, big-time defensive tackle. He has now gained some traction in terms of teams talking about him potentially as high as the top 3 of this draft.
A lot of people like to watch the 40-yard dash. They put a lot of investment in that time. And for a lot of players, it's making money or maybe not even making the league. Talk about the 40-yard dash. Is that how the teams view it as well?
Well, I think when you look at the 40-yard dash, one position where there is a correlation is the defensive backfield, particularly the corners. And 3 corners who have to run well at Indianapolis include Desmond Trufant, who was here at the Senior Bowl, clearly the best corner on the field during the practices. He was terrific on all the underneath routes, but there's still a question about his top-end speed. Then secondly, Jonathan Banks from Mississippi State had a nice career in Starkville, double-digit interceptions, but missed the Senior Bowl due to a laceration on his leg. He needs to run fast. That's another guy that has a question mark on him in terms of his long speed. And then the third corner is a junior, David Amerson, NC State, an All-American a year ago, had 11 interceptions in 2011. This year came back, had a subpar year. He's got to prove that he's fast enough to compete with the big-time receivers of the NFL.
Well, if there's a theme so far of the 2013 NFL Combine, which is yet to start, it's injuries. There's a lot of guys who really need to be there and perform who aren't going to be able to do that.
Yeah, and we already mentioned Matt Barkley will not throw coming off of the shoulder injury that he had. How about Tank Carradine, defensive end from Florida State, missed the last part of the year with a knee injury. Teams are going to want to find out where he is in terms of his rehab. And then Marcus Lattimore, a ton of people, national media have already written about Lattimore and his amazing recovery. He won't perform drills, but again, those medical examinations are going to redeem a lot about where he is in terms of being ready for 2013. A couple of other players to monitor. Greg Reed was a return man defensive back at Florida State, transferred to Valdosta State over the summer, suffered an ACL in August, did not play a snap this year. He will be at the Combine. And then Chris Falk, the big offensive tackle from LSU, was injured in their opening game against the University of Washington, missed the entire year, declared for this 2013 draft. Teams are going to want to find out where he is health-wise this weekend.
I mentioned the 40-yard dash as being maybe one of the most highly anticipated events. I think number 2, maybe even number 1 on that list, is the interview with Manti Te'o from Notre Dame, who's had an interesting offseason, to say the least.
Well, there's no question. We have the on-field workouts and those evaluations, but then you have the off-field evaluations, and this will be Manti Te'o's first appearance in front of the 32 NFL clubs, and you can rest assured each team gets 60 formal interviews, and he's going to be on probably 30 of the 32 teams list, I would assume. So Manti Te'o, his off-field questions, and then how about Tyrann Mathieu, the LSU corner, missed the entire year, did not transfer to a smaller school and try to play. He's missed an entire year of football. People finally get a chance to put a measuring tape on him in terms of his size, a watch on his speed, and we'll find out once and for all how big and fast the Honey Badger is, and then what he's all about off the field. And then, of course, a third player that a lot of questions surround right now, Alec Ogletree, the inside backer from Georgia, missed 4 games early in the year due to a suspension, had a recent DUI. He's going to be put under the heated lamp, so to speak, for the next 3 nights.
All right, well, we're interested to hear your reports. You're going to be tweeting from the Combine in Indianapolis, as well as posting reports on SeniorBowl.com. And then we'll wrap it all up the following week when Phil gets back from Indianapolis.